So look, do you get your hair straight?
Ready.
Is it just not quite the Hermie from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer you like? It don't quite have that dentist swoop.
It wasn't perfect. I'm sorry. I'm ready now.
All right. Are you ready now?
I'm ready.
Okay. It looks good.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Talking Story. My name is John.
That's the intro? That can't be the intro.
That is the intro. Deal with it.
No, I thought we were just talking.
That's the intro.
Oh,
that is it. My name is John Mitten. That is my literary wingman right there. The one son, the best producer on BookTube, and quite the style and hair meister, I will say.
Jakob, we're really going with this? This is...
Hermie the... Oh my... Okay, you want to start over?
No, it's fine.
So look, best producer on BookTube there. Introduce yourself.
I did. You just talked over me.
Did you? This is going off the rails. Hey, you know what? I'm actually glad as far as this gets off the rails because that means I don't have to pick a book of the month.
Yes, you do.
The longer this takes, the further down the road it is for me.
It's coming. It's imminent.
Oh man,
there's nothing you can do.
It's not going to be pretty. Okay, so look, this is when we wrap up everything that we read for the month of January. How do we kick off the year? How many 5 stars did we have? How many books do we rack up? I mean, not that it's a competition. It doesn't matter how many you read. I never go into that. I never start my year off with the Goodread challenge or anything like that. I read what I want. I enjoy what I read. It's not a numbers game to me. It's all about taking in story and broadening my life in that way. But this is where we get to find out what we got up to in the month of January.
It is indeed. It looks like you got up to a lot of things.
A little bit of a stack peeking over there.
A little bit, yeah. I'm a little nervous. So I can't live up to that.
No, don't be nervous, Hermie.
This has got to stop.
So what? So you want to go first? Sure. I have a feeling your list will be shorter.
How? do you want to see how big my stack is?
You know what? Like one thing a month. Like that's great. If you can.
Oh, sure.
If you can even get in some story by a movie or a good series,
but here's the problem: if your one thing a month is this,
you know what? That still counts.
I mean, it counts.
That counts.
But it's a little short. That's okay. I did The Lesser Devil by Christopher Rocco. I finished this up about halfway through January, and really loved it. I mean, loved it more than I loved Empire of Silence. It was very strong for me. If you don't know, it takes place in between book 1 and book 2 of the Sun Eater series. Kind of follows not our main character, follows the main character's brother back home in the origins of our main character, Hadrian. And we kind of catch up with what happened outside of the story that you follow in the first book and explore how Catholicism and other traditional religions have survived past humanity's escape from Earth and as they colonize the stars. The world building was so strong in this, but I think what made it even stronger for me was the writing. There is a specific scene that I've heard other people talk about as well, where Crispin, Hadrian's brother that we are following in the novella, is talking with a priest in a church and just talking about PTSD and the effects of choices and what they do to your life and your own identity. And it was such a standout in the story for me. I thought it was even better than any scene that was in Empire of Silence. If anything, just read the novella for that. It was fantastic.
Honestly, it's so amazing when you get into Sun Eater because it's immediate as you start to see this artist's journey, right? Like you start to see him just on a trajectory that's crazy already in book 1 for such a young person. The prose stylings of the philosophy and everything, it was, all the tools were there, but they just get sharper and the story becomes more focused and driven and pointed as you go on. And the character explorations, like the scene you're talking about, more more visceral. You see right away from book 1.5, like where that journey's going.
I mean, I can't wait. Now I feel like the hype that I've heard around Howling Dark has been, oh, all the things at the end of book 1 that you really loved are just, that's all of book 2. And I'm really excited for that. But I think I might be more excited to see how he grows as a writer, because those were the parts of this novella that I loved the most, like by far. So
it's very exciting to watch.
Yeah.
Very exciting to watch.
Like his ability to tap into philosophy and our identity and trauma is really powerful, how he takes care of that through dialogue. I hope we get more of that in book 2. I'm excited to find out.
Oh, you're going to get more of that.
Great.
Don't worry about that. And then the rest of the month, you've been working on Curse of the Mistwraith by Janny Words.
Yeah, been working on Curse of the Mistwraith, which, to be honest, I'm loving Wars of Light and Shadow even more than I'm loving Sun Eater. Which I haven't gotten into Howling Dark yet, which is when everyone says it's really fantastic. So I don't know if it's totally fair to compare yet. I'm about a third of the way through Curse of the Mistwraith, and it's just that 80s dark fantasy vibe that I really love. And the thing that's so strong about Janny's writing is that it is so descriptive and the world feels so lived in, and you don't lose out on character because of that. Like I feel like that was a big loss for me with Tolkien's writing, was, you get all the amazing world building from Tolkien, but there are some real moments and emotions that these characters are feeling in Janny's writing that I connect with immediately. Whereas in some of Tolkien's work, it would have taken much longer for me to feel. Not that I would never feel that. For people that love Tolkien, don't get mad at me. But
watch out. Dr. Chase will come after you.
I know he will. Yeah. No, I'm really digging Tolkien. I'm really digging Janny's work, Janny Words.
Yeah. I will get to that in my stack here in a little bit.
Please do. I'm excited to hear your thoughts, because you finished it.
Well, yeah, I did. Should we launch?
Let's
launch
do
the stack?
Into your giant stack.
I started the month with Glorious Exploits by Ferdia Lennon. This book was written for me. Had an artist journey myself in my younger years in theater. This is the story of, during the Peloponnesian War, the Athenians try to invade Syracusans, and just by so many happenstance, they just lose it all. They lose 200 ships. They lose their fleet. They lose their army. And who was left is just shuffled into the quarry. And prisoners of war are just locked down in this marble quarry. And they're there to live and starve, however few days they have there. And our ne'er-do-wells, our layabouts, Lampo and Glennon go down there, and they're giving some olives out to the prisoners one day to say, hey, can you give me a little bit of verse? Like maybe a little bit of a little bit of this playwright. You can tell me quote me a line. I'll give you some olives. And next thing you know, they're producing not one, but 2 shows in rep with the prisoners. And it is an amazing treatise on art and what art means in our darkest times. It's also an unflinching look at man's inhumanity to other men, women, people at all, and what the cost in a society and individual war will leave. Here's a whole generation here, the Syracusans, that have been fighting, and they're just... One of our main characters, Glennon, has lost his entire family. Lampo has not been able to go to war because he's got a bit of a club foot. He's still living with his mother, can't kind of get started. There's just no opportunities in this war-torn city. And you kind of get through them producing art with these prisoners. You start to see a character arc and a rebirth and a happening. And not only that, you start to see the beauty and the love of art that these prisoners have. We're talking about playwrights from Athens, and they so are attached to it, their own culture and their own art, that they get swept up in what they're doing, even though they're just living out their days to die. And as you go along this journey with these people, you're starting to realize, oh my gosh, this is like the most brutal. My dad has a barn. Let's put on a show, Neighborhood Kids, to save fill in the blank. The most brutal movie like that you could ever watch, because I watched a lot of those on Saturday matinees when I was growing up with Mickey Rooney. This is the worst of that. And yet still, oh my gosh, it's just transcendent. It happens. They pull it together. They pull off this show. And then, of course, as you can imagine, things go horribly wrong. And there's another layer of this where it's like you would think that, oh my gosh, that sounds like a hard-hitting book and that takes no prisoners. And it absolutely is. But at the same time, there's like laugh out loud funny moments to this. Ferdia Lennon here just goes all in on saying, you know what, we've all seen the Ivory Merchant classical pieces, these films, and they always have the most lovely British accents. Why can't we have my accent? Why can't I hear like street level Irish in something like this? And he goes, oh, it has such an amazing spin of the Irish dialect, of the Irish storyteller is spinning this yarn. There's a little bit of a supernatural thread that goes through it, which I really appreciated. It's just everything that speaks to me is in this book. And we had an amazing time. The Mrs. Amy read this first, and then we had a great talk over on Alan, Library of Allenxandria's channel, with Johanna and Alan and me and the Mrs. Amy, and we got to talk about, we went non-spoilers for a while, and then we went deep into it. We had such a great conversation. I think we went about 2 hours. It was so much fun.
Wow.
So this is just, what a way to kick off a year. What a way to kick off a month. There's no way this is not going to be up for Book of the Year, because it just ticks every box for me.
Book of the year?
Book of the month.
Okay. I mean, is it up for Book of the Year?
It might make the top 10 list. Let me tell you, this is going to stick with me for a long, long time.
Wow, man. I mean, if it's up maybe for Book of the Year, that's got to be Book of the Month.
This took me back to when I was directing Antigone that your mom was starring in. This took me back to moments of theater that you just think, oh my gosh, we're going to pull it off. Oh my gosh, this is never going to come together. All those moments I got to relive reading this book. It took me back to working on Martin McDonagh stuff because of the Irish slant to the storytelling. It was just such a roller coaster ride of good memories and a wonderful story and an ending that just nails it. So good.
Wow,
so
man.
Good.
Now I want to read that.
You should totally read this.
Do you think I'd like it?
You would love it.
I mean, I was never in the theater space, so I didn't know.
I don't think it matters. You like art, you like story, you know what it can do. You're a visual artist as far as a filmmaker.
Sure.
This would blow your hair back.
Okay.
Even with that much Hermie gel in it, it would blow your hair back. I was going
to say, it's pretty stiff. Yeah. It'll take a lot. But if you say so, I'll add it to the
has it in there.
Mountainous pile.
Then, hey, it was time to, get ready for my crew. We're going to be talking, I believe, next month in March. I have to be up through volume 9. So this month I read volume 7 and 8 of One Piece. And you know what? I am really getting into this. It is so much fun. They're like the perfect palate cleansers. They're a little bit goofy. They've got some deep themes going on. So there's it's such an amalgamation of storytelling techniques. You've got the broad, huge comedy, physical comedy stylings, and then you've got some intellectual stuff to chew on in these, actually.
Really?
So look, 7 and 8 kind of really cemented for me. We went to the absolute worst seafood restaurant in the world. We had knockdown, drag out battles with the Black Cat Pirates. We have grown our crew by a couple people. We're just about to find out really about one of our crew members that I thought we knew. It's one of those things where you think you know this person, you don't know this person, and I think in Volume 9 we're going to find out about this person. That's why I can't wait to start. But it's the scope is massive. It's silly. It's fun. It's deep. The only cylinder it's not firing on for me yet is this emotionality, where people say, "Oh man, Volume 9, you're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel it right here. It's gonna be like you're standing too close to a horse and you kick to the chest. You're gonna feel it." And I haven't had that emotional attachment to it yet, but I am enjoying it. It's a heck of a lot of fun, and I look forward to going forward and reading Volume 9 this month. So I'm ready to meet with my crew in March.
Well, do you know if you're picking up Volume 9 soon, or is it later in the month?
I think towards the end of the month, because we're not meeting until March. So I wanted to be fresh on it, and they wanted me to get through Volume 9 because they say that's when that emotional charge is going to hit me.
Right.
And then we'll talk and we'll see if I'm all in. But I am enjoying it. It's a really, I mean, as far as world building and just pure fun and scope, this is massive.
Wow, man.
And
I mean, you
really
seem to hype this thing up more each time you read a new issue.
Some really deep themes.
Or volume, excuse me.
Yeah. All right, we'll see what happens with Volume 9. Then it was time for Book Club with the Misses.
Of course.
And the Book Club with the Misses this month was Chain Gang All-Stars by Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah. Darko from Kindles and Kicks joined us. We got to hang out and talk about this with Darko. It was so much fun. And this is an angry book. This is one of those books with, this has some teeth and claws, man. If you're interested in Book Club with the Misses, once a month, she will pick something that's kind of off the beaten path for me, stretches my sensibilities, makes me go to maybe an uncomfortable zone, and then we talk about it. And we also cover it all the way through as we're reading it on Discord. So if you're interested on that, hit us up on Discord. And where else are we? We're all over the place now, right?
We're all over the place. I mean, first of all, that channel is free on Discord. You don't have to be on the Patreon to access that.
just check it out.
Anybody can access Book Club with the Misses. But we're also on Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, and Facebook. And Patreon as well, if you count that.
Yeah, all that's down there for you. Check all that out if you are so inclined. So anyway, look, this is one of those books that are just kind of like 5 minutes in the future. And what we have here is the kind of like the mass incarceration industrial complex kind of gets a brilliant idea where they move into like the production of a television show, like the real life production TV shows, where some of these people that are on death row, they got no other chance. They can sign a waiver that says, if I can make it 3 years in the arena, I can walk out of prison. And it's like the arena that you would imagine from Rome. We have gladiators, and they are all basically from death row that have no other opportunities. And these television productions follow them all the time. They're followed in the arena for the bouts. Then as they're moving from one arena to the next in like a camping situation with a little group, they call it a chain, the cameras are hovering around, covering them all the time. Rarely do they have just moments to themselves to be themselves. They're always in this reality TV type of mode as the camera follows them. So even if people are not kind of into the arena and the gladiator games, they get hooked into the other part of these TV broadcasts, which are like the lifestyle programs of these characters as they're between bouts and as they're trying to figure out themselves and their lives and their relationships and the cards that this world has dealt them. So I'm telling you, this is a book. It's one of those books, like I say, it has teeth, it has claws, it has something to say, and it absolutely works when we're dealing with the characters, when we're dealing with Stax, Hurricane Stax and Loretta Thruor and their relationship, how they're clinging to each other to get through this. And we're dealing about their past, and we start to see them as people, and we start to understand how they got there. So we start to root for them to get out. And then we start to see some other people that are getting pulled in and the cards they've been dealt. And we start to understand their humanity because of we're following their story. this is when this book to me really sings. Now, sometimes when it gets just a touch didactic, a little bit preachy for me to its agenda is the use of footnotes sometimes. Now, sometimes those footnotes are amazing when they get you more involved in a character, like a character backstory or what happened with the character. But then when it starts to deal with just hardcore stats and reality, as interesting as those are, because a lot of the times it was things I didn't know about the world that I'm living in, and I found them illuminating to me. They would somehow pull me out of the story, and then I would have to get sunk back in. So I think the agenda for me was more palpable and more visceral and more effective when I was just following the characters along this story. And also, you get so many facets. This is a thin book, and yet you get so many facets of this reality. You get the people that are outside the arena protesting. It's like they don't, Mr. Nanakwama Ajabrinya leaves nothing to chance. He covers every facet of this world and what's going on, and the world building is quite good. So it's something I would recommend. Not only would I recommend, I'd say it's an important book. It's probably something, even though it may make you uncomfortable, it may be a character journey that you're not comfortable walking in those shoes. It's still an important book that probably more people should be reading. I was so much happier to spend the time, even though it was an uncomfortable read, because like I say, it's a book with teeth and claws that has something to let you know about your own life and the world that you're in through this bit of fiction. And I thought it was enormously effective when we were following the characters here. So I would highly recommend that one as well.
Is that one up for Book of the Month?
Not up for Book of the Month because, like I say, it would pull me out. I wouldn't go all the way 5 stars on that. 5 stars on this.
If it's up for Book of the Year, I would assume so.
You very well could be on the list at the end of the year. Not 5 stars here because I did have those moments where I was pulled out of the story. So I would have a little bit of problems there.
Fair enough.
After that, it was January. Like Jacob said, we are starting the Wars of Light and Shadow with a massive group of people.
Can't wait.
From all over the world.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, man. Just all over. And we're going to come together on the 15th of this month.
Okay.
Should I list everybody?
Sure. Do you have the
You'll
list?
have to do a cut because I'm going to have to get up and get a piece of paper because it's so many.
Go for it.
Okay. You're willing to work that hard?
You know what? For you, I'll do it.
Okay. All right. That's fair. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Just a quick break in the action to thank all of our correspondents, directors, and producers on Patreon. These people keep the lights on. They make decisions for us because we don't know what we're doing. We're not great at making the decisions around here. The decisions all the way from what I'm going to read next, what the book club of the month Patreon pick is going to be, but all the way up to video ideas and what we're going to do here on the channel coming up for you. If you're interested or you want to find out how you can be a part of this, right down there in the description box, click the Patreon link. It's got all the answers for you. And once again, thank you to all of these fine people that are helping us build the channel, our correspondents, directors, and producers. We thanked everybody, and now we are back. And here is the group of people that we are going to be meeting with February 15th, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, right here on Talking Story, with the author, Janny Wirtz herself, will be joining us. Wow, look here. We got Abel Montero will be joining us. Christopher Navo will be joining us. Brian Bell will be joining us. Brenda from Reading by My Shelf is going to be joining us. Library Unbounded, Sylvia will be here with us. Matt from Matt on Books. Jake from Nerd Level Rising. Leslie from The Nerdy Narrative. And if you finish...
I hope.
If you finish, you'll be joining us as well.
I'm really making an effort to not listen to music anymore and just make a mad dash on the audiobook and reading as much as I can.
Yeah. Well, you got a little bit of time. You should be able, you could make it. You could pull it off.
But knowing me, I need all that time.
Oh, you need every bit of that time. So look, I finished this book and let's see. There's series that you start. There's book ones that you start. And they just hit. You just know from what you've heard from people like Dr. Chase and Johanna and AP and others that I've heard, P.L. Stewart, that where not that they've given me spoilers, but telling me how moving this gets and how far this is going to travel. This beginning, I thought one of two things is think, okay, well, if we're going to travel that far, maybe it's a kind of a slow burn of a beginning. But no, so much happens in this first book. First of all, let's address the prose. People will say, "Oh, the prose it's a heightened sense of prose. It's a very dense kind of prose." Look, I'm going to say this right off. I don't subscribe to either one of those words to describe this prose. This prose is transportive. It's going to lift you up from where you are. It's going to move you to another reality. You're right away going to feel like this is a story that has weight and is real and is textured, but is not from anything that you've experienced or your reality. Imagine if you have uncovered some texts, some like Dead Sea Scrolls out there, and you unroll that and blow the dust and it sparkles and it hits the lights, and you start to unveil before yourself what's gone before you and what's happened in this other world, in this other reality. That's how this reads. That's how this transportive prose can pick you up and lift you and take you somewhere else and gives you the weight and the grandeur of this story. But as Jacob was saying, it doesn't give up on character. We're following two estranged brothers here right from the very beginning at deep, deep odds due to family drama. And these scenes where they first come together, where they first meet, that despise they have for each other, it causes the drama in these scenes to just crackle. And I had to reach out to Janny and go, Janny, this should be staged. This is like a scene that I would see on a stage. And she's like, it's funny you should say that, because one of her very early mentors was a playwright. One of the first mentors that took her seriously was a playwright and kind of came at storytelling in these ways. And when she builds these scenes, I don't think she's ever lost that. So we have those right away from the very beginning. We have these two brothers, this dramatic crackling energy of their desperation and their family drama. And as this moves forward, they are thrown in through a bit of portal fantasy to another world where they have to work together. It's one of my favorite tropes. And this world has been cursed by a Mistwraith. And that is a mist that has enshrouded this world for 500 years, blocked out the sun. Imagine if you hadn't seen the stars. What would that do to society for 500 years? You hadn't seen the sun. What would that do to crops? What would that do socioeconomically for the bureaucracies of cities? What would happen? There's a group of 7 wizards, but I believe they're down to 6 because one has rebelled. And they're so happy to see these two brothers as they pass through, because in them is the key to break this curse of the Mistwraith. And that's kind of the story that we launch into. And from there, it just starts hitting every bit of classical storytelling. I said earlier that I was taken back with Glorious Exploits to those moments when I was directing Antigone. This goes back to that type of storytelling. This goes back to the type of drama that the Greeks were dealing with at the cradle of drama when Sophocles and Aeschylus was writing plays. This deals with that type of family drama that later was reflected by Arthur Miller and Eugene O'Neill and other greats. Because this is the story of a family torn asunder, and not only a family torn asunder, but because of that schism through the family, it causes ripples through this world and changes and impacts the entire world around them, like an amazing Greek drama that starts happening. The fantasy is epic. The scope is grand. All of the seeds that are laid out in this are so lovingly placed to get you to an ending that is brutal and unflinching. a gut punch. She does, and I talked to Jenny about the ending, and she said, she wasn't sure how it would go over. And over the years, she's had people let her know how it goes over. It goes to dark places. It is not afraid to look at the more brutal and deeper emotions here of tragedy in the classic Greek way of telling a story. And let me tell you, it just works on every level for me. The mystery, I think we have barely peeled back the curtain on the mystery here of this world, of what's going on, of what's going to happen in the future. And I cannot wait to pepper Janny with questions come the 15th, that Saturday afternoon, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Join us right here when we all get to pepper Janny with questions about what lies around the corner. And again, there's no way you launch a series. I know after one book, there's no way this series is probably, for sure, definitely not going to be on my favorite series of all time. There's no way this isn't up for Book of the Month. No way. Like, this just launches a series. Everything you want to see in a series launch, it was there for me. And look, I understand it's not an easy read. It takes a bit of focus. You have to open yourself and come to the work and almost become in a meditative state and let it wash over you and accept where it's taking you and trust the narrative and trust the structure and trust the process. It's not going to be quick and easy as far as storytelling goes. It's something that requires a little bit more effort and focus, but oh my gosh, does it pay off? Oh my gosh, does it pay off?
Yeah, you're rewarded. I feel that I have to say also, I emailed Janny and asked, like, is there any news on, like, more printings? Are they going to finish the audiobook, or the audiobooks for the series? Because they've only done some audiobooks, not for the whole series. And she said that's up to the readers. Yeah, that is with everybody else's power to tell HarperCollins that they want more printings, that they want more audiobooks to be done. And if there is a loud enough voice coming from the masses, it can be done. So
yeah,
for those that have said they want more audiobooks, that's how you get it.
We're going to try and get our voice pretty loud come Saturday the 15th.
I'm very excited. It is. I obviously have not finished it, but it is a series that is worth being talked about as a classic, I feel.
Absolutely. I think for me, and I think I'm 6 or 7 books into Wheel of Time. For me, this is more of that bridge series. And it's like, oh my gosh, the last book of this 11-book series just came out last year.
Yeah.
So you talk about a bridge series from 93 to last year, from more the way fantasy was in late 80s, early 90s to what we have today. And all the twists and turns of how she has lived a life to be able to bring things to the series, an artist working in service of their art. And we'll get into all that as well, I hope, when we talk to her on Saturday. So we're going to try and stay as absolutely spoiler-free for the entire time, because I want so many people to be pulled in and enticed by this amazing work and to pick it up.
Absolutely. I feel the same way.
So look, after that, like I said, not a fall off a log read. I wanted something a little lighter, something a little fun, something a little poppy, something a little easier. What are you going to reach for better than Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinneman? This is book 2, Carl's Doomsday Scenario. And hey, it's right there in the title. It does not let you down. It gives you a doomsday scenario. Look, this is so fun. This series is so fun. I reached a point, I used to be a big gamer. I used to love gaming. And I reached a point in gaming where it seemed like the art form was kind of moving in a different direction of large open worlds. The narratives weren't driven or focused anymore. It was so fractured with different quests everywhere. And it was becoming more about grinding and leveling up as opposed to telling me a story. And I just wanted a story. It started to be way harder for me to get a story out of a game, right? And more about just giving my thumbs a workout. So this has been such an amazing breath of fresh air for me. This gives me all the jollies of playing a game as far as leveling up. And I mean, literally, I kept turning pages to see what the next drop would be, or what the next thing this group of people, Carl and Grand Champion Princess Donut would get. And, that's as much of a reason why, because they're hysterically funny. That's as much of a reason why I'm turning pages as the story overall and the characters. But the characters aren't short-shrifted here. Carl has some amazing moments, and I don't want to do any spoilers, but there's a moment in a circus where he has a bit of sense memory from the smell of the popcorn and the hay, and it takes him back to a time in his childhood. And Matt Dinniman takes the time to go for pages about where Carl has come from and why he is the person he is. And we get that type of deep sense memory character work in Dungeon Crawler Carl. So it's firing on that cylinder. And then Matt Dinniman is using these loot drops or these literary RPG devices to bring in a bit of humor. Is new achievement. And that achievement is going to be hilariously profane and provocative and strange and weird and kind of laugh out loud funny once you give yourself over to the experience. So you're having these deep character journeys along with this literary RPG element that he brings in that gives you a laugh out loud moment. And then you get a bit of satire here as well, because the overall premise here is that it's an invasion story, and the aliens have turned this into a reality TV show of a dungeon, and the few living humans on Earth are having to go through the dungeon. But in this galactic empire, who is producing this year? And where's the infighting? And who's really in control behind the scenes? And all that kind of stuff starts coming to light when your favorites are chosen of who's crawling through these dungeons, and they go to these after-show interviews, and you start to get a peek behind the curtain, and you start to find out, hey, there's some satire here about bureaucracy and administrations and who's in charge and what that does. And there's a lot more going on than you might initially think from a series like Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's a really interesting recipe of so many things Matt Dinniman throws in this bowl, and it comes out just right for me. Those moments of frustration I was having, it's like, oh, come on, I just am trying to jump on the wall. I'm jumping on the wall. Just let me jump on the wall, playing those games. This is just, I just get to turn the page and the character jumps on the wall. And I get the story. It's not frustrating. It's the best of two worlds for me as those games became more grindy, or maybe I just got too old to play them. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like you're calling out Assassin's Creed pretty hard here.
Let me tell you something. Some of these games have a great story, but they're lost within the mechanics of a game.
That is very true.
I think it's an amazing art form to tell you an interactive story. And as they get further away into that and more into the mechanics, I lose interest. So that is why something like this is so much fun for me at this stage. And I would highly recommend this to even people that might think, oh, come on, there's some good stuff going on in this. Really good stuff going on in this.
Well, now, you keep giving me things that I got to add to my TBR. This is not...
I'm telling you, you would love this.
Oh, man. You can't say that. Now I have to read it.
I just did.
I don't like it.
Fight me. Then look, this is just Susanna Clark's new, basically this is, just a quick little short story.
That's gorgeous.
She is such a wizard. Susanna Clark, The Wood at Midwinter. She's the one that wrote Norrell and Strange. And this just whimsical and at the same time heartbreaking. This literally, I sat down and I think I read this in 25 minutes. And in that 25 minutes, I laughed, I teared up, my sense of wonder went off the chart, and my appreciation for words and where they can take me because of the way they're laid out perfectly on a page to grab my soul and draw me through a story and teach me a little bit about myself that I maybe wasn't focused on that day. All of that happened in 20 minutes because Susanna Clark is a wizard.
Good God. Is that up for book of the month? Does that count?
No, it's just a short story. So no, it was just a little palate cleanser, just a little sorbet of wonderment that I added into the month that I would highly recommend everybody pick up. It's a nursery rhyme. It's a fairy tale. It's a bit of magic.
Can I borrow that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'll put it downstairs for you.
I'll pick it up.
All right, and then like you with Crispin's Journey, I was back onto the Sun Eater trail with Kingdoms of Death by Christopher Rocchio. This is book 4 in the Sun Eater saga. And look, I have been waiting for this. From Empire of Silence, I loved the journey of Hadrian eschewing his aristocratic beginnings and being this idealistic boy that sets off into the empire that wants to sue for peace in this never-ending war because he feels like it can happen. He feels like he could be an adventurer, an explorer like the ones he's heard about, the ones he's read about as a boy that have discovered other cultures and other planets. And he wants to be that discoverer. He learns the language of the Sealson, this species that we've been at war at for hundreds of years. He feels he is the linchpin. He's the one that can bring these two cultures together, and he wants to sue for peace, and he goes out on this adventure. And by book 4, and you know he doesn't succeed because from page 1, he's telling the story after failing at that and actually destroying a son to wreak genocide on the Sealson. So this is a character arc that is not going to go well. This ideology is going to get squashed, right? So I've been waiting as he has this rocket ascent of becoming the half-mortal, as you start to see this bit of cosmic horror through this series where larger forces behind the powers of the universe, this grand space of the cosmos, this timeless, vast wasteland between planets. What's really going on behind these curtains? What's really turning the wheels behind the cosmos? And these larger forces start to move Hadrian about like he's on a game board, and as he is being moved and as his ascent starts to take off like a rocket and he becomes the half-mortal, I was starting to wonder, oh my gosh, he's going to have a tab to pay. Someone is going to come up to the table that Hadrian Marlowe is at with all of his friends that he's been with for years, and they're going to lay a tab down and go, it's time for you to pay the bill. Because, look, I'm not saying things have been easy. They have been anything but easy up to book 4. But I don't really think he's paid a bill. I don't really think he's been pushed to his extreme to become the type of person that would do what we know he has to do. And in book 4, and again, it's right there in the title doesn't lie, Kingdoms of Death, that tab comes due. And then some. He has to pay, and he has to keep paying. It is done so well. It's so unrelenting. It is such a clear journey of somebody's ideology being stripped away from him in the most brutal way possible. All the things he started out believing early on in this series, systematically pulled away and shown to him for how silly they are. And all the while, Christopher Rocchio never loses that superpower he has of using myth and legend and story and history. All the things that make us up as a people, as a culture, as a species are so layered into this story. Where did we come from before we went out into the stars and built this galactic empire? All of these myths that have become a bit twisted now because of the weight of time on them, they're still there. They still motivate us. They still define us. And it's those kind of stories that he mines so well. We have little Easter eggs for H.G. Wells. We have little Easter eggs for H.P. Lovecraft. Towards the end of this, it was so evocative to me of the story of that procession from Jerusalem up to the hills of Golgotha. There's so much in this that draws you back to our stories that have created us and made us as a people that he is mining to such amazing effect here. To me, this is my favorite book of the series so far because it gave me everything I have been waiting. I've been waiting for this cosmic game board to expand. I've been waiting for Hadrian Marlowe to be handed a tab. I had been waiting for him to become more than the half-mortal. The half-mortal, this swashbuckling figure that is moving from situation to situation, that the emperor throws him into these situations that you think there's no way anyone could get out of it, and he does because he is the half-mortal. This strips all of that away and brings him back down to humanity in a way that was just breathtaking, and I absolutely loved it. That's why it's my favorite of the series so far, and absolutely up for Book of the Month.
I thought it would be. Okay.
Yeah, come on.
So that's 3 so far. And
That's 3 so far.
If I remember correctly, there's a 4th.
There is a 4th, and it's Stoner by John Williams.
Yeah, that's right.
This was the Patreon read, and let me tell you, this was such a personal journey for me. Such a personal journey for me. This is a story about an academic in the 20s and 30s, a very rocky, tumultuous time in this country. This young farm boy discovers what words and story can mean to him, and he gets a calling as opposed to going to this college for agricultural sciences. He shifts and becomes an English major. And then he falls in love with it to the point where he stays and gets a doctorate and starts teaching. And his life is laid out before him in teaching the Romantics and medieval literature. And he becomes an academic. And that was all well and good. That was truly speaking to me. I myself had that epiphany. I myself came from a small farm town and had an epiphany about what arts and letters can do and went on that journey. But then I just found this character, the focus was so intense on him. The focus was so intense on Stoner that, yes, he is in a bad marriage, but shouldn't we get the wife side? Like, what trauma did she go through in her early years that would make her so adversarial in this relationship? There's got to be more story there. Why would this other professor at his work draw such hard lines of division between him and Stoner and be adversarial? Why are all these slings and arrows coming at him? And it seems to be that the camera just stays so focused on him and what is on his mind and the way he sees things. I wasn't getting the rest of the picture, and I was fighting it, and I couldn't understand a master like John Williams, who was writing this, would stay so focused on this character to the detriment, I thought, of what's all around him and the broader story, right? And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. Not only did this speak to me of that epiphany I had as a young person that started my artistic journey from a very small town, I was so much like this character. I was fighting it. I was having a hard time walking in this character's shoes because I was building walls between me and that character. I had those moments of self-involvement to the point where I would just be a people pleaser to my own detriment because I just wanted to get from one moment of my artistic endeavors to the next, and I just didn't want conflict in any other way. I remember times when to my grief, I was not there for my family when I should have been, just like Stoner probably should have been there far more for his parents. This was a journey that I was keeping at arm's length because it was so close to my own. And when I realized that, and I realized what John Williams was doing by keeping that focus close to Stoner, by keeping that focus so involved with somebody that was self-involved to that point that was not able to understand that the art that is transcendental because it's describing the human experience. And then some things happen later in his life where he starts to have some other epiphanies and comes to realize that. And this quiet tale of desperation in an American life in a very tumultuous time in this academic's life on campus becomes such a triumph of a life lived by the end. And it just all worked for me. And it was very personal when I came to realize what the writer was doing and open myself up to it, that it as well has to be considered for book of the month because it was such a personal experience.
Well, now you got to pick.
Well, I still got 2 more books that I read.
No,
I had a little bit of time left.
I demand you pick right now.
Nope, I had a little bit of time left. So next I grabbed, hey, remember we met Steve Diamond at Dragonsteel?
Absolutely, he was wonderful.
And we grabbed the first book of his trilogy, Residue, which is kind of like, look, he swam in the same waters I did. He loves Robert McCammon. He loves Brian Lumley. He loved, all the things I loved. I just want, after a heavy thing like this, I just wanted some fun horror. That's exactly what this was. A Snicker bar read, a history of creepy crawlies in the world that we don't see, 2 warring science facilities in this little town that are experimenting on the town itself, it would appear. And it kind of kicks off an entire adventure here with Jake Bishop and his friends. It's kind of like if you're flipping around and you caught that old creature feature that you love, like a John Carpenter flick. Say you're flipping around and you come across Escape from New York. I'm not going to flip that. I'm not going to flip away from that. Come on, that's good Snake Plissken stuff. That's what this is. Even though it's nothing new. I've probably read it or seen it many, many times. I didn't think he took the pieces and breathed a breath of fresh air here and did something world changing. But it was comfort food and it was fun, and I did so enjoy it. It was just at the right time that I needed that. So that was a lot of fun. And then I wrapped up the month with Joe R. Lansdale, the latest Hap and Leonard book, Sugar on the Bones. Trying to get current with some of my favorite series. This is the most recent Hap and Leonard book, so now I am caught up. And I thought this was a great return to form from the previous book because that was just like one long chase scene. And this, we really got our boys, Hap Collins and Leonard Pine, to get involved in a case and get way over their head. And I really had a great time with this as well. Laugh out loud, funny vernacular and dialogue. Joe, there's nobody. Look, if you love a series of mysteries, if you sometimes would like, you know what? I would just love to read a mystery. I just got that feeling. This is going to make you laugh out loud. It's going to absolutely take you to a time and place of East Texas. Oh my gosh. If I'm missing home, I just have to pick up one of these books. And it is an express ticket back home. And Hap and Leonard couldn't be more different and yet are still brothers. There's so much of these books that just make me happy. Not to mention that Hap and Leonard are in their 50s, so I can so relate to what they're going through. Even to get up out of the chair without making a noise, I know exactly what that is. And sometimes with protagonists that are 19 or so, like I was dealing with in Residue, it doesn't quite scratch that itch for me anymore. It just doesn't quite work because I'm so far past it. But that was it, man. That was the month. Check it out.
Good God. Be proud of yourself. That's crazy.
That's what, hey, look, it's not a competition or anything. It's just, you do 100 pages a day and they just stack up. It's just what I had.
But still, well done. That's a good stack.
That is a good stack. So let's do it. Let's do this. Something is not going to get the accolades it should. Let's do this.
Okay. Are you going to go downstairs and get a tie?
No, I would like to put all 5 of these links down there because I think people should go out and look for these books if they haven't yet.
That is fair. We can do that.
Because these are, look, this is an important book and all of these, oh my gosh. Okay, so what are we going to do? Okay.
Well, you said in a I think our last weekly reader, there was one you were thinking you could take out. So that must be the one you can take out.
I'm going to remove Stoner first of all, because again, I fought it. I didn't enjoy it all the way through.
Okay.
Even though it ended up being enormously personal and a 5-star read for so many gut-wrenching personal reasons for me, I was fighting it. And these were just brought joy from page 1 to the final page.
Okay.
Okay. So now we're down to 3.
Is there another you can eliminate?
No. How can I possibly?
You have to.
I mean,
there's
there's
just
just
a 3-way tie. There's no way.
Jesus. Look, okay. All right, so I'm going to do this.
Okay.
This channel focuses on fantasy, sci-fi, and horror most of the time. So I'm going to take out Glorious Exploits because although it does have a little bit of a supernatural thread in there, it was so well done too. But less of one, so I'm going to take that out.
Go with your gut. Yeah.
But go get this book. It is so good. It is so good. It should probably be book of the month.
Go with your gut. Go with your instinct. Your instinct told you to pull it out.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna pull. So look, it is down to this. It is down to these two. A launch of what I think will be one of my favorite all-time series, or what is one of my favorite all-time series, completely hits its stride by book 4 and unfurls its wings and gives me everything I've been waiting for.
Yeah.
So which one? A launch or the build-up to what I've been waiting for, right? Like look, it's comparing an apple pie and a cathedral. Like there's no right way to do this.
And yet, you must.
I don't like this.
These are the rules you instated.
All right, look, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not happy about this. This is what I'm going to do.
Okay. You got to just count 3, 2, 1 in your head and grab one.
All right.
Wow. Okay.
I'm going to make Kingdoms of Death. And this is why. Look, this is an 11-book series.
Yeah.
And I know in those next 10 books, there's probably going to be multiple books of the month here when this hits its full stride. I mean, this one this should have been book of the month. So I know I have many more chances at this. I've got 2 more books here of this series.
Yeah.
Or 3.
Book 2 of Wars of Light and Shadow is Ships of Mirior, right?
Yes, Ships of Mirior.
I've heard people say wow, that's one of the best in the series. So maybe.
So I mean, that's coming up for me in March.
Yeah.
So okay. So I've got 10 more of these. So I'm gonna go with this. But this is so unbelievably close. Oh my gosh. Start this series.
This is my favorite part of the month, is just watching you agonize over this.
Oh, it's just not friendly. Okay, so this is it. This is my book of the month, Kingdoms of Death by Christopher Rocchio.
Okay, well done.
Because look, this is the payoff it's everything I've been waiting for. He delivered it and then some. Had a great time with it, but quite honestly, any of these 3 are just as good. Go get these 2.
In your mind, there's a 4-way tie.
I say this is a 4-way tie this month.
Well, you already picked a favorite, so too late.
You're not a kind man. How was your month? I hope your month was so filled with amazing reads and expansive stories that made you look at yourself in a different way and made you look at the world around you in a different way and made you look at those people you're sharing this world with in such a different way that you had to fight and agonize over picking a favorite of this month as well. Please let me know. Hit us up in comments and let me know how your January was. How was your kickoff to 2025 as far as stories go? What was your favorite? Was it hard? Let me know. We're going to answer every comment that comes in because look, that's the whole reason we started this channel, was to talk to people that love books the way we do, the kind of books we love. We're going to answer every comment as quickly as we can. because that is why we're here. And while you're down there, I know that little thumbs up button, you probably don't even think about it. Hit that. It is such an amazing way to support the channel. I mean, boop, no sweat off your brow. It takes you a second to hit that button, you're done. And it helps us meet new people and make new friends and talk about books with a broader and broader and broader, ever-growing audience. And as that audience is bigger and we reach more people, that is where the magic and the change comes in about talking about story and how we can change our world around us by examining art and story and what it does for us. And maybe this is your first time just to see, hey, what did this doofus read this month? I'll check this out. Maybe it's your first time here, or maybe your first couple times. You haven't hit that subscription button yet. Oh, hit that button. Bang. I'm telling you what, you join this group of people that just wants to hang out and talk about the expansive world of art and what it can do. It'll give your heart a flutter. It'll change you down to the core. I promise you that. Because this is an amazing, amazing group of people. You hit that button, it'll give you a tingle, and that's just a scientific fact. There you go. I think we did it again. I think we got through another month.
What a month.
God, this was let me tell you, I'm not happy with how this ended.
Yeah. How can you not be? You had reads of 4 that were so great you couldn't even pick a favorite, and yet you were forced to anyway.
And my book of the month was Curse of the Mistwraith.
Yeah, no, that's not what you said.
It was Stoner.
That's not what you said. It can't be all 4.
Here it is. This is my book of the month.
Well, all 4 of those, as well as Chain Gang All Stars, will be in the description. Everybody, feel free to go down there and pick them up.
Check these out. Thanks so much for joining us here on Talking Story.